At Graybridge Social, my father raised his glass. Her smile was a thin thread. In the back parking lot, she slammed my head against the SUV, whispering, "Don't ruin tonight," right under the hotel's security camera. I wiped the blood, speaking for my key fob's mic. 9:12 p.m. Thanks for the timestamp. They thought I'd stay silent. They don't know that by midnight, her filthy texts will be printed on my father's pillow. My name is Mara Quinn. At 32, I am the Chief Operating Officer of Archwell Dynamics, the company my father built from scratch, and I am sitting at the best table at Graybridge Social, tasting nothing but iron and ash. The restaurant is the jewel of Eldermere's revitalized Riverpoint district, a cavern of exposed brick, dark mahogany, and aggressively warm Edison bulbs. It smells of smoked old fashions and seared scallops. The air hums with the curated clatter of heavy silverware and the self-satisfied laughter of the city's new money. We are here, ostensibly, to celebrate. My father, Conrad Quinn, holds his wineglass aloft. His face is flushed with a victory that isn't entirely his. "To the Archwell Bond," he proclaims, his voice resonating with the boardroom authority I've spent my life trying to emulate. $200 million to the future. The executives at our table, our CFO, our legal counsel, a few key board members, raise their glasses in dutiful chorus. To the future. Beside him, my stepmother, Lenora, radiates a soft, supportive glow, as if she herself is one of the expensive light fixtures. She places a perfectly manicured hand on my father's forearm. Her smile is a masterpiece of public devotion. A thin, delicate thread holding a predator's mask in place. She is wearing a deep sapphire dress that matches the $200 million in new debt, a strategic choice. As the company's non-salaried brand advisor, her entire role is performance, and tonight, with the internal communications team 2 tables over, she is giving an Oscar-worthy show. I sip my water. The ice cube clicks against the glass, a sound too sharp for the room. I know the truth of that $200 million bond. I wrote the covenants. I structured the triggers. I know the weight of it, and I know the precarious ledge we are standing on. This celebration is premature. It is, in fact, dangerous. Lenora's gaze slides to me. The warmth evaporates instantly, replaced by a flat, cold assessment. She sees my silence. She sees my lack of enthusiasm. To her, it is not caution. It is insubordination. As if summoned, her phone, resting beside her plate, buzzes with a low, insistent vibration. She glances at it, and a flicker of genuine annoyance crosses her face before she smooths it back into practiced concern. "Oh, Conrad, darling, I am so sorry," she murmurs, loud enough for the table to hear. "It's the vendor for the gala, an absolute emergency. I must take this." My father, deep in conversation with our temporary CFO, Harlan Creve, just nods, waving her away. Go, handle it." Lenora stands, a vision of stressed but capable elegance. Then, her eyes lock on me. "Mara, come with me, please. I need your opinion on the alternate floral arrangements. You have such a practical eye." It is not a request. It is a summons. The table watches. I have no choice. I place my napkin on my chair and follow her, my heels sinking into the plush runner. We weave through the crowded dining room, the sound of laughter and conversation fading behind us, replaced by the rising clatter and hiss of the kitchen as we approach the service corridor. Lenora doesn't look back. She pushes the heavy stainless steel kitchen door open, holding it for a moment, and gestures me through with an impatient flick of her wrist. We are not in the kitchen. We are in the back parking lot. A cold, concrete alley smelling of diesel, hot grease from the ventilation hoods, and the metallic tang of the river just a block away. The sudden shift in temperature is a shock. The warm hum of the restaurant is gone, replaced by the distant rumble of traffic on the Riverpoint Bridge. Lenora lets the door swing shut. The thud and click of the lock echoes in the small space. She hasn't even looked at her phone. You have a problem. Mara, she says. Her voice is no longer the soft, breathy instrument from the dining room. It is flat, hard, and low. I don't know what you're talking about, Lenora. Don't you? She takes a step, cornering me between a stack of plastic kegs and the gleaming black side of the hotel's Escalade. Sitting there, silent, making your little calculations. You think he doesn't notice? You think you're poisoning him against me? I'm here to celebrate a bond issue, just like everyone else. You're here to judge. She is close now. I can smell her perfume, something heavy and sweet, like jasmine and burning sugar. It's suffocating. You think because you're his COO, you're in charge. You're just a function. You're just the help. Before I can process the insult, her hand shoots out. She doesn't slap. She grabs my hair, a fistful, and slams my head, hard, against the SUV's door pillar. A percussive, deafening thud. My vision explodes in a flash of white static. Pain, sharp and immediate, blossoms over my left temple. The ringing in my ears is so loud it drowns out the traffic. I feel the cold, painted metal of the car against my cheek, grounding me. She leans in, her face inches from mine, her grip still tangled in my hair, pinning me. Her voice is a venomous whisper, meant for me alone. Don't you dare say a word to your father. She shoves me back, and I stumble, catching myself on a metal railing. My hand flies to my head. My fingers come away slick. Not a lot of blood, but it's there, a warm trickle from my hairline. My vision clears, my hearing returns, replaced by the pounding of my own pulse. I look up. Lenora is smoothing her dress, adjusting her bracelet, her chest rising and falling. She looks annoyed, as if I am the one who has inconvenienced her. I don't move. I breathe. In, out. I force the panic down, compressing it into a single cold point of light. My eyes lift from her, scanning the environment. My training takes over. My entire life has been about systems, processes, and data. There. Above the steel service door we just exited, mounted on the brick, is a small black security dome, and in that dome, a tiny crimson LED. It pulses slowly, recording. It sees us. It sees the entire alley. It saw the impact. I look at Lenora. Her face is a mask of contempt. My hand is in my coat pocket. My fingers find the familiar shape of my car's key fob. It's not just a key fob. I'd had it custom modified 2 months ago. I press the unlock button, but my thumb holds it down. A long press function that activates the high-fidelity microphone hidden inside. A tiny haptic buzz confirms it's active. I lift my hand from my temple, showing her the blood on my fingertips. I hold my voice steady, pitching it just loud enough for the microphone in my pocket. 9:12 p.m., I say. The words feel strange, thick in my mouth. I'm noting the time and the location. Thank you for the timestamp. For the first time, a crack appears in her composure, a flicker of genuine confusion. She thinks I've lost my mind. She thinks I'm threatening to tattle. You're pathetic, she spits, but her certainty is gone. I don't answer. I am already tapping the face of my smartwatch. The screen illuminates, showing my custom-built Archwell Operations app. Disguised as a simple stock ticker, it is, in fact, an event logger. I tap the discrete icon in the corner. A new entry appears. Event 004. Time 21:12:03. East. GPS. Coordinates for Graybridge Social Service Alley. Audio. Key fob mic. For AAC linked. Video. Hotel security cam. Subpoena pending. The audio file from my key fob syncs via Bluetooth to my phone, which in turn uploads it to a secure encrypted server on my private NAS. The entire process takes less than 10 seconds. The evidence is logged. The chain of custody is clean. Lenora watches me, her eyes narrowed. She doesn't understand what I'm doing, but she knows it's not submission. Fix your hair, she snarls, turning her back to me. You're a mess. She pulls the heavy door open, and in an instant, she is gone, swallowed by the warm light and noise of the restaurant. I stand alone in the cold alley for another 30 seconds. I breathe in the toxic air. I let the pain throb. It feels good. It feels like a starting pistol. I pull a handkerchief from my pocket and press it to my temple. I check my reflection in the dark glass of the Escalade. The cut is minimal, easily hidden by my hair. The metallic taste of blood is still in my mouth. I walk to the door, pull it open, and step back into the performance. The noise hits me like a wave. A jazz trio is playing in the bar. The smell of seared steak and perfume is overwhelming. I see our table. Lenora has already slid back into her seat. She is laughing at something Harlan Creve just said, her hand fluttering at her throat. She is radiant. She is untouched. I walk the long walk back. No one looks up as I approach. I am just Mara, the quiet COO, the dutiful daughter, returning from a non-existent errand. I sit down. My father gives me a cursory glance. Everything all right? Perfectly, I say. My voice is even. I pick up my wine glass. The red wine is dark in the low light. I study it. Then, deliberately, I set the glass back down on the white linen, precisely where it was, without taking a single sip. I can feel Lenora's eyes on me. I don't look at her. I look at my father, who is now boasting about a new efficiency metric I implemented. I listen to her laugh. I listen to her charm our board members. I listen to her build the fantasy of the strong, united Archwell family. And in my head, I start the clock. The plan I spent the last 2 months meticulously building, a plan of digital traps, legal tripwires, and financial audits, was always theoretical. It was a contingency, a weapon in cold storage. I needed one last thing to arm it. I needed an overt act. I needed a clean, undeniable, documented piece of evidence that violated the very morals clauses I had woven into that $200 million bond. She just handed it to me. I watch her lift her glass in a toast. The plan is no longer a contingency. It is active. Phase 1 is complete. By midnight, Phase 2 will be in motion. She thinks she silenced me. She has no idea. She just gave me my voice. Archwell Dynamics is a fortress built on a fault line. On the surface, we are stronger than ever. The press release my father approved last week painted a picture of robust health, a strategic pivot after a failed acquisition, a lean restructuring, and now, this triumphant $200 million bond issue. It's a compelling story. It is also, in large part, a fiction I helped write. The truth is, the failed acquisition left us exposed. We bled capital and lost market confidence. This bond wasn't a victory lap. It was a lifeline. And the terms dictated by the underwriters were unforgiving. They demanded transparency, accountability, and a new level of corporate governance. They got it. I made sure of it. Buried deep in Appendix C, Section 4B of the bond prospectus is a clause I authored myself. It's titled The Morals and Fiduciary Trigger. It's a piece of bespoke legal architecture disguised as boilerplate. To the board and the underwriters, it looked like a standard, if slightly aggressive, ethics provision. To me, it was a weapon waiting to be armed. The clause is simple and absolute. In the event that a key executive, or a member of their immediate family, is proven to be involved in acts of fiduciary malfeasance, such as embezzlement, in conjunction with behavior that could bring the company's reputation into severe disrepute, such as documented domestic violence. The board is empowered to take immediate and unilateral action to protect the interests of the bondholders. That action includes summary dismissals, freezing assets, and launching a full independent forensic audit, bypassing the CEO's authority if necessary. When I drafted it, our legal counsel thought I was being paranoid. Mara, domestic violence? This is a bond covenant, not a marriage license, but I insisted. It was my one non-negotiable term. It was my fail-safe. Lenora has no official title at Archwell Dynamics. She is my father's wife. On paper, she is a brand advisor, a title she invented for herself, which carries no salary and no formal responsibilities. In reality, it gives her a license to meddle. Her influence is a subtle, pervasive rot. She doesn't issue orders. She makes suggestions. She whispers in my father's ear about marketing campaigns, office aesthetics, and personnel. She has a particular interest in our marketing budget, a multi-million-dollar fund that, by its nature, is filled with subjective, difficult-to-quantify expenditures. Her power grew exponentially with the arrival of Harlan Creve, our previous CFO, a man who had been with my father for 20 years and who treated the company's money like his own, took an abrupt early retirement 6 months ago. The official story was that he wanted to spend more time on his boat. I knew he was forced out. He questioned Lenora's influence one too many times. Harlan, his replacement, is temporary, ambitious, and utterly captivated by her. I see them together in the office, heads bent close over lunch menus, a shared laugh in the corridor that cuts off a little too quickly when I approach. Their familiarity is unprofessional. It's a liability. The first thread I pulled was a line item in the quarterly marketing report, an agency retainer fee. The recipient was a company I'd never heard of, Oak Lantern Media. The amount wasn't astronomical, just enough to make me pause. It was a recurring monthly payment, consistently 15% higher than the fee of the well-respected agency we had supposedly terminated. I ran a variance analysis over a year. It would amount to $250,000, small enough to be missed in a $200 million enterprise. But it was a leak, and leaks never stay small. I spent a weekend digging. Oak Lantern Media had no website, no portfolio, no digital footprint. The state's corporate registry listed its sole proprietor as one Chloe Aniston. I recognized the name instantly. Chloe is Lenora's personal assistant, a sweet, overwhelmed girl barely out of college who worships her boss. The registered business address for Oak Lantern wasn't an office building. It was a mailbox at a UPS store in a strip mall 3 towns over. It was a ghost, a shell company created for the sole purpose of receiving money. I could have gone to my father then, but I know him. He is a brilliant engineer and a ruthless businessman, but he is blind where Lenora is concerned. He sees the woman who nursed him through a bout of pneumonia, the woman who organizes his social life with military precision, the woman who tells him he is a titan. He does not see the predator who has attached herself to his life's work. If I had presented him with spreadsheets and corporate filings, he would have confronted her. She would have cried. She would have invented a plausible, convoluted story about a special project, a misunderstanding with the accounting department, a favor for a friend. She would have called me jealous, paranoid, still bitter about my mother's death, and he would have believed her, because he wants to believe her. I learned that lesson 2 years ago. I saw Lenora fire a catering manager, a woman who had worked for us for a decade, in the middle of a company event, humiliating her in front of her staff because the canapés were 5 minutes late. When I told my father, he sighed and said, "Lenora just has very high standards. Mara, that's why I value her." He didn't see the cruelty. He saw standards. So I knew I couldn't go to him with half a story. I needed something he couldn't rationalize, something that couldn't be explained away with tears and denials. I needed proof that was visceral, undeniable, and absolute. So I built a trap. In the library of my father's house, there is a networked, enterprise-grade printer. He uses it to review and sign confidential documents sent from the office. It's on the home network, a system I designed and maintain. 2 months ago, during a routine security upgrade, I installed a custom script on the print server. It's an elegant, invisible piece of code. Whenever a print job is initiated from any device on the network, the script lets it proceed normally, but once the job is spooled, before it's deleted, the script makes a copy. It converts that copy to a password-protected PDF, watermarks it with the precise time, date, and source device ID, and then silently transfers it to a hidden, encrypted volume on my personal network-attached storage, NAS drive, which is physically located in my own apartment. The evidence is off-site, secure, and cataloged. The system has been my silent watchman, collecting digital ghosts. For weeks, it was nothing but noise. Online shopping receipts, flight confirmations, recipes. I was waiting for a mistake. I knew Lenora's arrogance would eventually make her careless. I knew she used that printer. The morals and fiduciary trigger. I embedded in the bond required two distinct keys to turn the lock. The first key was the financial fraud. The Oak Lantern media scheme was that key, but it wasn't enough, on its own. My father could dismiss it as a messy but explainable accounting error, a project that Harlan and Lenora had structured poorly. I needed the second key. I needed the behavior that could bring the company's reputation into severe disrepute. I needed something that would horrify him to his core, something that would sever the emotional bond she had so carefully forged. Tonight, in the cold, greasy air of the service alley, she handed me that second key. The throbbing in my temple is a steady, rhythmic reminder. Back at the table, the jazz trio is playing something smooth and forgettable. Harlan Creve is laughing, his head tilted towards Lenora. She catches my eye across the table and gives me a small, triumphant smile, a victor's smile. She thinks she has put me in my place, reminded me of the hierarchy. She thinks the matter is closed. She has no idea. The assault wasn't the end of the confrontation. It was the final, required piece of data. It was the catalyst. The last box on my checklist has been ticked. The test I have been running for the past 2 months is now complete. The results are in, and the consequences are about to be executed. The dessert menus arrive. They are leather-bound and heavy. Lenora is debating the merits of the deconstructed tiramisu versus the lavender crème brûlée, her voice a melodic performance of indecision. The pain at my temple has subsided into a dull, persistent throb, a metronome counting down the minutes. She has forgotten the alley. To her, it was a momentary loss of temper, an unpleasantness to be dismissed. To me, it was the starting gun. My phone rests in my lap, its screen dimmed to the lowest setting. Beneath the table, my thumb moves with practiced efficiency. My actions are a silent counterpoint to the performative civility of the dinner. First, the video. I open a secure messaging app and compose a new message to Nora Bell, Archwell's general counsel and one of the few people I trust implicitly. Nora is sharp, discreet, and understands that the law is not a shield, but a weapon. Subject: urgent, preservation notice. Nora: incident occurred at Greybridge Social at 2112 Estache. Potential litigation involving a senior executive family member. Please serve the hotel's legal department with a formal litigation hold notice effective immediately. Preserve all CCTV footage from all cameras covering the rear service alley and parking lot. From 21 o'clock to 21:30. Cite potential for civil and criminal proceedings. Emphasize penalties for spoliation of evidence. I am the client. Discretion is paramount. Mara. I hit send. A single checkmark appears. Within minutes, it will be 2. Nora is always working. The hotel will receive a legally binding demand before their night manager has even finished his coffee. The footage is now locked down. It belongs to me. Next, the audio. The file from my key fob has already uploaded to my NAS. It's a clean 47-second clip. Lenora's voice, stripped of its public grace, is unmistakable. Don't you dare say a word to your father. It's admissible. Our fictional state of North Carroll is a one-party consent state. A small but crucial detail I confirmed with Nora months ago. My consent was all that was legally required. I toggle to another app, a simple location tracker disguised as a transit map. A small blue dot pulses steadily. It's the AirTag I stitched into the lining of Lenora's favorite Fendi wallet 6 weeks ago. While she was having a spa day, for weeks, the dot has traced a predictable path. Our home, the office, high-end department stores, this restaurant, but twice a week, like clockwork, it deviates. It travels to a small, nondescript studio apartment building on Larch Street, a neighborhood of struggling artists and old warehouses. It stays for exactly 90 minutes, then returns to her normal route. Harlan Creve's official residence is a condo on the other side of town, but his car has been photographed by a private investigator I hired parked a block from Larch Street during those exact 90-minute windows. It's a sordid, predictable affair, but the location is another data point, another piece of the web. The most critical part of the operation, however, is happening miles away, in the silent, wood-paneled library of my father's house. On his antique mahogany desk sits a Mac Mini. It's his home computer, which he rarely uses. Lenora, however, uses it constantly, and in her typical, arrogant carelessness, she remains permanently logged into her iCloud account, her texts, her photos, her notes, all of it mirrored, waiting. I wrote a simple Apple script 2 months ago. It runs in the background, invisible. The script has one trigger, an incoming iMessage from a contact saved in her phone as HC. When a message from Harlan Creve arrives, the script waits 3 seconds, takes a full-resolution screenshot of the entire desktop, names the file with a precise year-month, day-hour, minute, second timestamp, and uploads it directly to my NAS. My phone buzzes softly in my hand, a notification from my home server. A new file has just been added to the secure folder, then another, and another. They're texting right now, from this table. I don't need to see the messages yet. I just need to know they are being captured. While Lenora describes the sublime texture of a chocolate lava cake, I am remotely logging into the admin panel of the home network's router. I pull the DHCP client list and the DNS query logs. There they are. Lenora iPhone 14 Pro and Lenora MacBook Air. Both devices are active. The logs show a steady stream of data packets exchanged with Apple's push notification servers between 21:10 and the current time of 21:55. She's been active on the network throughout dinner, corroborating the timeline. Every piece of data reinforces the others. Each file that lands on my NAS, the audio from the key fob, the screenshots from the Mac, the DNS logs, is automatically processed by another script. This one generates an SHA-256 hash for each file. It's a digital fingerprint, a unique alphanumeric string created from the file's data. If even a single bit in that file is ever changed, the hash will change completely. It is my guarantee of authenticity, my unbreakable chain of custody. When I present these files, I will also present their original hashes. They will be mathematically, cryptographically, unimpeachable. I send a second text to Nora Bell. Me. Nora, Oak Lantern, it's time. Issue the preservation notice to accounting. I want all invoices, payment authorizations, and communications related to them and Harlan Creve for the past 6 months. Name yourself as the requesting party, citing a routine audit for the bondholders, effective immediately. Nora Bell. Understood. It's done. The pincer movement is in motion. One arm is the documented violence, the other is the financial fraud. Both are now being formally preserved through legal channels, initiated by me but executed by counsel to maintain a professional distance. Lenora will be investigated for stealing from the company, and the request will come from the company's own lawyer, not the CEO's jealous daughter. I navigate to the drafts folder of my email. There is only one draft. I wrote it 3 weeks ago. 2. The members of the board of directors. Archwell Dynamics. From Mara Quinn, COO. Subject: Urgent. Invocation of morals and fiduciary trigger. Appendix C, Section 4B. Dear members of the board, this email serves as formal notification of the invocation of the morals and fiduciary trigger clause of the recent bond issue. Attached, you will find a preliminary dossier of evidence outlining severe misconduct by a member of the CEO's immediate family, Lenora Quinn, in concert with acting CFO Harlan Creve. The evidence supports 2 core violations. 1. Fiduciary malfeasance, a systematic scheme to embezzle corporate funds via a shell corporation, Oak Lantern Media. 2. Reputational harm, a documented act of physical violence that exposes the company to significant reputational and legal risk. A full report is being compiled. Immediate action is required to protect the interests of the company and its bondholders. I am requesting an emergency virtual meeting at your earliest convenience to discuss the immediate suspension of all parties involved. The email is cold, formal, and devastating. All it needs are the attachments, the screenshots currently being harvested from the Mac Mini, the audio file of the thread in the alley, the formal report from the private investigator. Lenora is laughing now. A bright, tinkling sound that grates on my raw nerves. "Oh, Harlan, you are terrible," she says, tapping his hand playfully. My father watches them, a benevolent smile on his face. He sees a happy family. He sees a loyal executive. He sees nothing. I look at the clock on my phone. 9:58 p.m. I have everything I need. The web is woven. The traps are set. All that remains is the execution, the final, quiet, and catastrophic confrontation that will happen not in a boardroom, but in the heart of my father's home. My objective is clear. The morals and fiduciary trigger must be activated. The process must be irreversible, and it must all happen before the night is over. The deadline is 11:59 p.m. The clock is ticking. The applause at the table is a brittle, scattered sound, like glass breaking. My father is paying the bill. A thick black leather folder that represents more than my monthly salary. He is expansive, generous, a king holding court. A triumph, Lenora, darling, the whole evening. "Anything for you, Conrad," she murmurs, touching his cheek. I push my chair back. The legs scrape on the stone floor, a sound that cuts through the laughter. "I have a migraine," I say. The lie is plausible. The throb over my left eye is a spike of genuine pain. "I'm going to head home. Don't let me spoil the celebration." My father looks annoyed, a flash of disappointment. "Mara, already? We haven't even—" "Let her go, darling," Lenora says, her voice dripping with false sympathy. She looks pale. She works too hard. Her eyes meet mine, and they are flat, cold, and victorious. She thinks she's won. She thinks I am running away. I don't say another word. I walk out of the restaurant, through the warm, noisy bar, and into the humid night air. The valet pulls my car around, a modest black sedan that is nothing like the Escalade I was slammed against. I get in. I lock the doors. I don't start the engine. The quiet of the car is a vacuum. I sit for a moment, the red and blue lights of the River Point Bridge washing over me. Then I work. I pull my laptop from my bag, place it on the passenger seat, and tether it to my phone's secure hotspot. I activate my VPN, routing my signal through a server in another state. My fingers fly across the keys. I log into my NAS, the encrypted drive that lives in my apartment, miles away. I type in the 64-character passphrase. I open the directory. Secure Vault LCRM Capture. It's full, a list of new image files, each with a precise timestamp, populates the screen. My script worked. The Mac Mini in my father's library, the one she uses, has been taking snapshots. I am looking at a second-by-second history of her evening. I click the file labeled 21.4712 iMessage PNG. The screen resolution is perfect. I see her iMessage window, open on the desktop. The contact is H.C. Harlan Creve. The message is from him. C. Move another $350K through Oak Lantern tomorrow. I'll cover it under PR. My blood runs cold. $350K. It's an escalation. The last transfer was $150K. I look at her reply, typed just seconds later, while she was sitting at that table, listening to my father toast her name. Lenora. Done. He just needs family photos. I'll handle the money. He just needs family photos. The casual, profound contempt. My father, the CEO, the Titan, reduced to a sentimental old man who can be placated with a picture while she robs him blind. I'll handle the money. It's a boast. I close the file. My hand is shaking, not with fear, with a cold, industrial rage. I open the next file. 2152-4 browser, PNG. She's toggled from her messages to a web browser. It's our corporate accounting portal. I recognize the interface. I designed the dashboard. A small, red alert icon is flashing in the corner, an icon I programmed. Unusual prepayment flagged. Archwell Marketing. She's checking her own tracks. She's watching the system, seeing if her actions have been flagged. On the screen, she has an invoice pulled up. Invoice ADUD OL 903. From Oak Lantern Media. My eyes scan, and I see the contract number it's billed against. I have our entire project database mirrored on my NAS. I run a search. Contract 903. No results found. It's a ghost, a non-existent project, a black hole created by our acting CFO, a hole she's about to pour another $350,000 of my father's company into. I go back to the image folder. I need the last piece. I find it. 21.55.30 iMessage, PNG. It's the message she sent, the one she typed after she came back to the table, after she slammed my head against a car. Lenora, handle the girl tonight. Make her quiet. She's a problem. A single declarative sentence, not the girl. Handle her. Make her quiet. This wasn't a flash of temper in the alley. This is conspiracy. This is a threat. This is what she was texting to Harlan Creve while she was sipping champagne. I look at the file's metadata. The script I wrote grabs the network information. Connected. Graybridge guest Wi-Fi. It's a digital postmark. She sent it from the restaurant, from that table, surrounded by our company's leadership. My pulse is a hammer. I check the phone logs. Also captured. A 17-second call at 9:58 p.m. Just after she sent the text. The number is unlisted, unsaved. I plug it into a reverse directory I pay an annual subscription for. The result flashes. Gallo Print and Design, 14 Larch Street. Larch Street, the same street as the studio apartment, and Gallo Print. I've seen that name. It's on the scanned copies of the fake Oak Lantern invoices. They're the ones printing the high-quality, fraudulent letterhead. She was calling them, tonight, to coordinate the next step. It's all happening now. This is the final connection, the last piece of the puzzle. I have her. I have them both. I pull up the financial scrapes from her email, her American Express account. I open the latest temporary statement, captured by my server just this morning. I see the loop. Money goes out from Archwell Dynamics, authorized by Harlan Creve. It lands in the bank account for Oak Lantern Media. The shell company registered to her personal assistant. For weeks, I couldn't find where it went from there. Now I see. On her personal Amex statement, I see a series of large, irregular payments. They aren't from Oak Lantern. They're from a different entity. Noel & Co. I run the name. It's another shell. An LLC registered to a mail forwarding service in Delaware. Its merchant code is for art and collectibles. She's laundering the money. Archwell to Oak Lantern to Noel & Company, Noel & Co. pays off her 5-figure credit card bills. It's sloppy, it's arrogant. It's a direct, traceable line from the company's stolen funds to her personal purchases. I open a blank text file. I don't need a complex chart. The truth is simple. I type out the arrows. Archwell Dynamics, H. Creve, CFO. $350K. Fake invoice, 903. Oak Lantern Media, C. Aniston, PA. Noel & Co. Shell. XXK. Payments. Lenora Quinn, Amex. And above that, a different kind of transaction. Lenora Quinn, 9:12 p.m., alley. Physical assault, Mara Quinn. Lenora Quinn, 9:55 p.m., table. Handle the girl tonight. H. Creve. I stare at the screen. The financial crime is a breach of fiduciary duty. The assault, combined with the text message, is a provable criminal threat. Together, they are the two keys, turning in the same lock. They are the morals and fiduciary trigger. I close the laptop. The throb in my temple is a sharp, clean signal. I am not in pain. I am not angry. I am a machine executing a function. I look at the clock on my dashboard. 10:07 p.m. They will be leaving the restaurant now. The drive to the house takes 15 minutes. I can make it in 8. I start the engine. I have to get to the house. I have to get to the printer. I pull out of the parking lot, the tires squealing. I have to get the truth on paper. I have to put it in a place my father cannot ignore. The arrows on my screen were simple, clean, just lines on a page. Lethal as paper. I hit the override code on the garage keypad, and the door glides open with a low, electric hum. 10:08 p.m. I am home, or rather, I am at my father's house. It stopped feeling like my own the day he carried Lenora over the threshold. The air inside is still and cool, smelling faintly of lemon polish and the expensive, scentless soap Lenora insists upon. It is the sterile smell of a showroom, a place where a life is displayed, not lived. I move through the cavernous foyer, my footsteps silent on the thick Persian rug. Every object in this house is a testament to my father's success, and every placement is a testament to her taste. Nothing is out of place. It is a perfect, hollow shell. My first stop is the living room, a vast space dominated by a cold marble fireplace. On a small, antique side table sits a collection of silver-framed photographs. My father and me on a sailboat, years ago, my parents on their wedding day, and a dozen glossy, professionally shot photos of Conrad and Lenora, the happy couple, the power couple, the lie. Next to the photos is an Amazon Echo, a gift from me to my father last Christmas, sold to him as a convenient way to check stocks and weather. Its true purpose is far more versatile. I tap the top of the device, then murmur a quiet command to my phone. Alexa, drop in on living room. The light ring on the device pulses cyan once, then goes dark. There is no audible chime, no announcement. I disabled those notifications remotely weeks ago. The Echo is now an open microphone. From my phone, I can hear everything in this room with crystal clarity. It will be the silent, impartial witness to the conversation to come. An ordinary object, now an instrument of surveillance. I climb the grand, curving staircase to the master suite. The door is slightly ajar. I push it open. The room is immaculate. The king-sized bed made with architectural precision. A faint trace of her jasmine perfume hangs in the air. An invasive sweetness. I walk to my father's side of the bed. I lift the heavy Egyptian cotton pillow, the one his head will rest on tonight. From my coat pocket, I retrieve a plain manila envelope, crisp and empty. I slide it beneath the pillow, positioning it so it's completely hidden but will be immediately felt. It's a piece of theater, a prop waiting for its contents. My final destination is the library. It is my father's sanctuary. The one room Lenora has not been allowed to completely redecorate. It smells of old leather, paper, and wood smoke from a fire long dead. And in the corner, on a heavy oak credenza, sits the weapon. The Hewlett-Packard LaserJet Enterprise M608. It's a fortress of a printer, designed for a corporate office, not a home. I insisted my father get it for its security features. He thinks it's for protecting corporate data. He is not wrong, just incomplete in his understanding. I run a diagnostic checklist, my movements quick and certain. I slide the main paper tray open. It's full, loaded with the thick, cream-colored Archwell Dynamics letterhead I brought home last week. The company's logo, a stylized A over a globe, is embossed at the top of each sheet. The irony is exquisite. The evidence of her betrayal will be printed on the very symbol of the legacy she sought to plunder. I check the toner cartridge. 92% remaining. More than enough. The network status light is a steady, reassuring blue. It is connected to the isolated, secure guest Wi-Fi I configured. A network only 3 devices are authorized to access. The printer, my father's Mac Mini, and my personal laptop. It is a closed system, a digital cleanroom. I sit at my father's desk, in his oversized leather chair. I wake the Mac Mini. Lenora's smiling face, a selfie with my father, is the desktop background. Her iMessage window is still open. I ignore it. I open a terminal window. The black screen with its green cursor a stark contrast to the cozy domesticity of the room. I type a single command line, a script I wrote and tested a dozen times. A print trigger. Source, NAS, Secure Vault LCRM Capture. Watch, target, HP LaserJet M608. Format, Archwell, Secure PDF. I press enter. The script is now active. It establishes a secure, encrypted tunnel from this computer to my NAS drive in my apartment. It is now monitoring the LCRM capture folder. The moment a new screenshot file appears in that folder, the script will automatically download it, format it to print on the Archwell letterhead template, which includes a secure, server-generated timestamp in the footer of the page, and send it directly to the LaserJet. The trap is set. Now for the bait. I take a deep breath. I open a new browser window and log into a burner email account, one I created years ago for anonymous online signups. I compose a new message. The recipient is a secondary email address of Lenora's that I know she uses to forward herself articles and reminders. It's a habit of the disorganized and the arrogant. The subject line is blank. The body of the message contains a single line of text. Send me the screenshots with Harlan, then delete. It's a bluff, a piece of social engineering designed to panic her. She'll see it, assume it's from Harlan or someone else in their conspiracy, and in her haste to comply and cover her tracks, she will do exactly what I need her to do. She will access the files. She will forward them, and in doing so, she will create new files, new screenshots. I hit send. Before I log out, I crack open the French doors behind the desk, just a few inches. The cool night air rushes in, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant rain. It cuts through the stale, polished air of the house. It feels real. It feels clean. I walk over to the printer and stand beside it, my hand resting on its cool plastic casing. I wait. The silence in the library is absolute. The only sound is the quiet hum of the computer's fan and the ticking of a grandfather clock in the hall. 30 seconds pass. A minute. My heart is a slow, heavy drum. Then it happens. A small, green LED on the printer's control panel begins to blink. Receiving data. A soft whirring sound breaks the silence as the rollers inside begin to turn. The machine awakens. A single sheet of the heavy Archwell letterhead is pulled from the tray. It slides through the machine's guts, the faint smell of hot toner filling the air. The first page emerges, face down, into the output tray. Then a second, and a third. The machine works with a quiet, ruthless efficiency. It is taking the ephemeral, weightless data, the pixels of a screenshot, the text of a betrayal, and giving it mass, giving it form, turning it into a physical object that can be held and read and cannot be denied. The last page slides out. The green light stops blinking. The whirring fades. The silence returns, heavier than before. I reach into the tray and pick up the stack of papers. They are still warm from the fuser. There are 7 pages. The first is the screenshot of the iMessage. Move another 350K through Oak Lantern tomorrow. Underneath, in the footer generated by my print server script, are the words, printed, 22-1904 Est, source, Nas Maraquin. The second page, he just needs family photos. I'll handle the money. Time stamped. The third, handle the girl tonight. Make her quiet. She's a problem. Time stamped. The fourth is the screenshot of the accounting portal, the invoice for the non-existent project. The fifth is the money laundering flowchart I typed in the car, the simple lethal arrows. The sixth is the screenshot of her Amex statement, with the payments from Noel and Comte highlighted in a red box I added before triggering the print job. The final page is a single, high-resolution satellite image of the apartment building on Larch Street. No explanation, no labels, just the picture, a silent accusation. The evidence is complete. It is pristine. It is physical. I square the pages neatly, the edges perfectly aligned. I fold them in thirds, the motion precise and automatic. I walk out of the library, up the stairs, and back into the master bedroom. I lift the pillow. I slide the warm, damning pages into the empty manila envelope. The paper whispers as it goes in. I seal the flap. I place the envelope back under the pillow, right in the center. I smooth the pillowcase, removing any trace of my presence. The stage is set. The evidence is planted. The truth is now a physical object, waiting in the dark, waiting for my father's hand to find it. I am waiting in the dark of the living room when I hear the low growl of his car in the driveway. The engine cuts out. The silence that follows is thick with anticipation. A moment later, the sound of a key in the front door lock, a heavy metallic click that echoes through the cavernous foyer. The door swings open, spilling a rectangle of pale yellow light from the porch onto the marble floor. My father steps inside, followed by Lenora. Her laughter, a bright, brittle sound, shatters the quiet. And then Harlan said he'd rather audit the Pentagon than go through another bond negotiation, she's saying, shaking her head as if sharing a charming anecdote. My father chuckles. It is the sound of a man who is tired, victorious, and content. He closes the heavy door, the lock thudding home with a note of finality. He doesn't see me. I am a shadow near the staircase. He slips off his suit jacket, his movements weary. He's a good man. Harlan, a bit green, but he'll get there. He drapes the jacket over a chair, a casual gesture that speaks to his ownership of the space. He loosens his tie, a strip of dark silk. You were brilliant tonight, Lenora, absolutely brilliant. The way you handled the internal comms team. You just have a gift for that. I just want what's best for the company. Conrad, she says, her voice a soft purr. She kisses his cheek. For us. She turns, her eyes adjusting to the dim light, and finally sees me. She stops. Her smile tightens almost imperceptibly. Mara, still here? I thought you had a migraine. It passed, I say. My voice is flat, devoid of inflection. My father turns, finally noticing me. He looks from me to Lenora, sensing the sudden drop in temperature. He is a man who hates conflict in his home, a strange paradox for someone who thrives on it in the boardroom. Everything okay? He asks, his voice already laced with a weary note of pleading. I'm going to bed, Lenora announces, a strategic retreat. It's been a long, wonderful night. Don't be too long, darling. She glides past me, up the stairs, the scent of her perfume a toxic cloud in her wake. She doesn't look at me again. She doesn't need to. She believes she has already won. Now it is just my father and me, standing in the cathedral-like silence of the foyer. The grandfather clock in the hall ticks, each second a heavy, deliberate beat. He sighs, running a hand through his graying hair. Mara, whatever it is, can it wait until tomorrow? I'm exhausted. I don't move from my spot at the base of the stairs. Dad, I say, my voice quiet, but carrying in the still air. Do you want the truth where it's easiest to see? The question hangs between us. It is not what he expected. He frowns, a flicker of confusion, then annoyance. What kind of question is that? I've had 3 glasses of wine. I'm not in the mood for riddles. He turns to head towards the library, likely for a nightcap. It's not a riddle, I say. He stops, his back to me. He is a large man, but at this moment, his shoulders seem to slump with a weight he can't identify. Tomorrow, Mara, he says, his voice firm, a command. We'll talk in the morning. Some things can't wait for the morning, I say. Some things have to be seen tonight. He finally turns to face me fully. He sees something in my eyes, a stillness, a resolve he hasn't seen before. The exhaustion is still there, but it is now joined by a reluctant flicker of concern. He has spent his life reading people in negotiations, and he knows this is not a petty grievance. This is something else. I don't wait for his permission. I turn and begin to climb the stairs. After a moment's hesitation, I hear his heavy footsteps following me. I lead him down the wide, carpeted hallway to the master suite. The door is closed. I push it open. The room is dark, save for the faint moonlight filtering through the silk curtains. Lenora is not there. I can hear the sound of the shower running in the master bath. I walk to his side of the bed and switch on the small bedside lamp. A pool of soft, warm, yellow light illuminates the nightstand, the corner of the bed, the thick pillows. It creates an illusion of intimacy, of peace, a sanctuary. My father stops in the doorway, watching me. What is this, Mara? What are you doing? I don't answer. I just look at him, then at the bed. He walks into the room, his shoes sinking into the plush carpet. He unbuttons his cuffs, a nightly ritual. He is on autopilot, his mind still resisting what his gut is telling him. He pulls back the heavy duvet, preparing to sit down. His hand slides under the pillow to prop it up. And he feels it. He stops. His hand remains under the pillow. He looks at me, his eyes wide with a dawning, terrible suspicion. What did you put in my bed? The truth, I say. His hand emerges, holding the plain manila envelope. It looks alien in the soft light of the bedroom. A piece of sterile, corporate reality invading this intimate space. He stares at it as if it were a snake. What is this? He asks again, his voice a low whisper. It's what you need to read before you go to sleep, I say, my voice as steady and cold as a surgeon's scalpel. If you still want to sleep next to the person in that shower. His jaw tightens. For a moment, I think he will throw it down, that he will choose willful blindness. But he doesn't. He is, above all, a man who needs to know the facts. His entire empire was built on data, not on faith. He sits down heavily on the edge of the bed, the mattress sighing under his weight. He turns the envelope over in his hands. Then, with a deep, shaky breath, he tears the flap open. He slides the contents out, the stack of 7 pages, printed on his own company's letterhead, feels thick and substantial in his hand. The first page is on top. He looks down. He reads the words in the screenshot of the iMessage. Handle the girl tonight. Make her quiet. She's a problem. I watch his face. It is like watching a building collapse in slow motion. The fatigue, the satisfaction from the dinner, the paternal annoyance. It all vanishes. It is replaced by a profound, shocking stillness. The color drains from his skin, leaving it a sickly grayish pallor under the warm lamplight. His breath hitches. He doesn't make a sound, but something inside him, some fundamental support structure, breaks. He sags, his broad shoulders curling forward as if under an immense, invisible weight. He just stares at the page, reading the words over and over. Then, his hand shaking, he lets the first page fall to the duvet and looks at the second. The flowchart, the simple, brutal arrows showing the flow of his company's money into her personal accounts. He is a man who understands flowcharts. This is a language he speaks. He traces the lines with his finger, his lips moving silently. Archwell, Oak Lantern, Noel and Kodu. Lenora Quinn. He drops that page. The next is the fake invoice, for the project that doesn't exist. He knows our project codes. He knows it's a ghost. The next page, the next, the screenshot of her credit card statement, the satellite photo of the building on Larch Street. Each page is a hammer blow, dismantling the reality he has lived in for the past 5 years. Finally, he is staring at nothing, the last page having fallen from his limp hand. The evidence is scattered on the pristine white duvet like wreckage. The sound of the shower stops. The sudden silence is deafening. He raises his head and looks at me. His eyes are red-rimmed, shot through with a pain so deep it looks physical. He looks 20 years older than he did 10 minutes ago. His voice, when he speaks, is a ragged, broken thing. Are you sure? It is not a question. It is a plea, a desperate, final appeal for this to be a mistake, a misunderstanding, a nightmare from which he can awake. Please, tell me this isn't real. I don't say yes. I don't offer a single word of comfort. I offer him only the cold, hard certainty of data. I step forward and point to the footer at the bottom of the page lying on top. My finger is steady. The print server logged the job at 10:19 p.m. tonight from a secure connection to my NAS. Each source file has an SHA-256 hash that I generated the moment it was captured. It is cryptographically verified. Dad, I pause. It's real. He closes his eyes. A single tear escapes and traces a path through the gray stubble on his cheek. The king is dethroned. The fortress has been breached from within, and the enemy, The architect of his ruin is about to walk out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, expecting to find him ready for bed. The grandfather clock in the hall chimes 11. The sound is sonorous, heavy, each note falling into the stunned silence of the room like a stone into a well. My father does not move for a long moment. He stares at the wreckage of paper on his bed, at the architecture of a betrayal laid bare on his own company's letterhead. Then, he breathes, a long, slow exhalation. The grief is still there, a raw wound in his eyes, but something else is rising to replace it. The CEO, the man who built a $200 million company from nothing, the man who does not tolerate leaks, liabilities, or traitors. He looks up at me, his eyes clear and cold. The transformation is terrifying and absolute. The broken husband is gone. "Get Nora Bell on the phone," he says. His voice is a quiet rasp, but it holds the full, unyielding weight of his authority. "And get Marcus Thorne, now." Marcus Thorne, the acting chairman of the board, a steady, pragmatic man who values stability above all else, the right choice. I don't move to my phone. I am already prepared. I open my laptop on the corner of the dresser, the screen casting a pale blue light on my face. "They're on standby," I say. I messaged them an hour ago to expect a priority alpha call before midnight. My father looks at me, a flicker of something, surprise, respect, in his wounded eyes. He nods slowly. "Do it." It takes less than a minute. I initiate a secure, three-way conference call through a corporate portal. Nora Bell's voice is the first to connect, crisp and alert. "Mara? Conrad? What's happened?" "You're on speaker. Nora," I say. "Marcus is joining." A second later, Marcus Thorne's calm, baritone voice fills the room. "Conrad, Mara, this is unexpected." "Marcus, Nora," my father says, his voice still ragged but gaining strength. "We have a situation, a material breach that impacts the new bond issue. Mara is going to forward you a file. She will explain." He gestures to me. "This is my theater now." "Sending now," I say, my fingers flying. I drag a single, encrypted zip file into a secure email. The file is named Dossier 2258 Zip. The password is the bond QSIP number. You should both have it memorized. I hit send. The package contains a series of time-stamped screenshots, an audio file, a money laundering flowchart, and corroborating financial documents. Each primary evidence file is accompanied by a text file containing its original SH856 hash, generated at the moment of capture. The package also includes the system logs from the print server, showing that the physical copies my father is looking at right now were printed at 10:19 p.m. this evening. The chain of custody is intact and cryptographically secure. There is a moment of silence on the line as two of the most powerful people in my father's company process the cold, technical language of my assault. "I'm opening it now," Nora says. I can hear the faint clicking of her keyboard. Marcus murmurs his assent. I give them 30 seconds. I picture them, in their own homes, miles apart, seeing the same ugly words my father saw. "Handle the girl tonight." Nora is the first to speak. Her voice has lost its professional distance. It is tight with controlled fury. "Conrad, my God, is Mara all right?" "She's fine," my father says, his voice flat. "Legally, Nora, what is this?" "It's the trigger," Nora says, her voice regaining its legal precision. "It's a textbook invocation. You have fiduciary malfeasance. The Oak Lantern scheme is blatant embezzlement. And you have the second component, an act of violence and a direct threat against a corporate officer, who is also a family member. It's exactly what the clause was designed for. You can act, you must act. The bondholder's interests are at severe risk." "Marcus?" my father asks. "The reputational damage is catastrophic if this gets out uncontrolled," Marcus says. His voice is grim. "Violence, embezzlement, this will crater confidence. The clause is our only defense. It shows we can police ourselves, decisively." He pauses. "Mara, you mentioned an audio file. Is there more?" Yes, I say. Lenora Quinn assaulted me in the service alley of the Gray Bridge Social at 9:12 p.m. The act was captured on the hotel's security cameras. Nora served them with a litigation hold notice at 9:15 p.m. The footage is secure. The audio file in the dossier is a 47-second recording of her direct verbal threat, captured on a personal device. It is admissible in this state. Another silence, this one heavier. The abstract threat on a screen has now been connected to a physical, documented act of violence. This is no longer a debate, Marcus Thorne says. His voice is steel. We activate the trigger. We suspend Lenora Quinn's informal advisory role and Harlan Creeve's employment. Effective immediately. Pending a full forensic audit, we cut off their access, seize their devices, and secure their offices. We notify the bond trustee of a potential covenant breach and our immediate remedial actions, as stipulated in the appendix. He takes a breath. Conrad, I need your verbal authorization to sign the provisional order. My father looks at the papers scattered on his bed. He looks at me. He closes his eyes. You have it, he says. Nora, draft the notices, Marcus commands. Mara, prepare the internal communications. Nothing goes out until I give the word. Already drafted, I say. I've prepared a confidential email to the board, scheduled to be sent at 7:03 a.m., 3 minutes before the market opens. It outlines the situation and the actions taken. Good, Marcus says. Do it. I'm digitally signing the order now. I get a notification on my laptop. A secure document has been executed via DocuSign. The timestamp is 11:21 p.m. The process is now irreversible. What about their access? Nora asks. I'm drafting the revocation order for IT and security right now, I say, my fingers already typing. Access cards, network privileges, corporate accounts, everything will be terminated remotely by midnight. They will be locked out of the system before they even know what's happened. The call ends. The procedures are in motion. The corporate machine, slow to anger, is now moving with brutal, silent speed. My father stands up from the bed. He walks over to the dresser where Lenora's phone is charging. He picks it up, then puts it down and picks up his own. He finds her number in his contacts. He looks at me. She's with friends from the charity board, at the Riverpoint bar. He presses the call button. He then presses the speakerphone icon. The room is filled with the sound of a phone ringing. I hold up my own phone, the screen showing a red pulsing REC icon from a speaker data capture app. I nod at him. She picks up on the fourth ring. Her voice is bright, laughing, slightly slurred. Connie, I was just telling everyone about your speech. Are you in bed already, you old man? The sound of her voice, so full of oblivious joy, is grotesque. My father's face is a granite mask. Lenora, he says. His voice is dead. All the warmth, all the affection, has been cauterized. Come home. The laughter on the other end of the line stops. The background noise of the bar seems to recede. What? What's wrong? You sound strange. Come home, he repeats. It is not a request. It is a summons. A flat, unyielding command. Now. Okay. Is everything all right? Did something happen with Mara? Just come home. He hangs up. He doesn't throw the phone. He places it carefully back on the nightstand. The recording on my phone stops, saves, and uploads to the NAS, another file in the digital graveyard of his marriage. Call 2331 We wait. The house is silent again. The only sound is the grandfather clock, ticking away the final minutes of her life as she knows it. At 11:43 p.m., the soft musical chime of the front gate doorbell echoes up the stairs. She's here. I walk over to the printer in the library and print one more page. Just one. The screenshot of the iMessage. Handle the girl tonight. Make her quiet. She's a problem. I walk back into the master bedroom. My father is standing by the window, looking down at the driveway, a dark silhouette against the moonlight. I walk to the other side of the bed, her side. I lift her pillow, the one that still smells faintly of her perfume. I place the single damning sheet of paper on top of the fitted sheet, right where her head would lie. Then I put the pillow back down on top of it. We hear her heels clicking on the hardwood of the downstairs foyer, a rapid, impatient sound. Then the softer thud as she hits the runner on the stairs. The footsteps grow louder, closer. They are the sound of an approaching storm. My father remains a silhouette by the window, unmoving. I am a statue by the dresser. The only light is the single, warm lamp by the bed, illuminating the white duvet and the scattered pages like a stage. The bedroom door swings open. Lenora stands there, silhouetted for a moment against the brighter light of the hallway. She is holding her coat and her purse, her face a mask of irritation. "Conrad, what on earth is going on? You had me rushing out of a perfectly lovely evening. I look like a madwoman. Is this about Mara's little headache?" She steps into the room, letting the door click shut behind her. Her overpowering jasmine perfume invades the space, a cloying, artificial sweetness. Her eyes are adjusting to the dim light, and she is still focused on my father. "Honestly," she begins, tossing her coat onto a chaise lounge, "if she's going to be this dramatic every time we—" She stops. Her gaze has finally fallen on the bed. She sees the chaos of the papers on my father's side, the official Archwell letterhead stark against the white duvet. She sees the manila envelope, discarded and gaping. She freezes, one hand halfway to taking off an earring. It is not a gradual halt. It is a full, instantaneous stop, as if a switch has been flipped. Her breath catches in her throat, a small, sharp, audible gasp. Her eyes, wide and suddenly sober, dart from the papers to my father's dark form by the window, and then, finally, to me. The silence in the room is absolute. The grandfather clock has stopped chiming. All that exists is the triangle of our three bodies in the warm, accusatory light of the lamp. My father speaks. His voice comes out of the darkness, low and toneless, a sound scraped from the bottom of a well. He does not turn around. He does not raise his voice. He simply asks the question. "Who is AHC?" Lenora's composure, for a fraction of a second, shatters. A flicker of raw, animal panic flashes in her eyes, but she is a performer, and the training is deep. She recovers, forcing a confused, slightly amused laugh. It is a terrible sound. "HC? Darling, what are you talking about?" She takes a step towards the bed, gesturing vaguely at the papers. "Is this what this is about? Some work thing?" "It's Harlan Creve, of course. We were discussing a new media contract. It's confidential. Honestly, you should have just asked." She is a masterful liar. Her voice is plausible, her explanation mundane. She carefully avoids looking at the specific contents of the pages, treating them as a generic, unimportant pile of work. Her eyes deliberately slide past the screenshot with the words, "Handle the girl tonight." I take 3 silent steps forward, moving from the dresser to the nightstand on my father's side of the bed. I place my phone down on the polished wood surface. The click of the plastic hitting the wood is as loud as a gunshot in the silent room. The screen is dark, but she knows what it is. It is the device that was in my hand in the alley. It is the device that has been listening. 9:12 p.m., I say. My voice is devoid of all emotion. It is the voice of a machine reciting data. Graybridge Social Service Alley. By the West Loading Bay, you, me, and the hotel's security camera. Lenora's head snaps toward me. The mask of practiced confusion vanishes, replaced by a venomous, undiluted hatred. The pretense is over. This is not about a misunderstanding. This is about an enemy. She takes a step towards me, her body coiled like a snake. Her voice drops to a lethal, sibilant whisper, a sound meant only for me. But the echo in the living room is listening, and my phone is still recording. "You have no idea," she hisses, her voice trembling with rage. "What you are destroying." "It's already destroyed," my father says. He turns from the window. His face, fully illuminated by the lamplight for the first time, is a ruin. It is pale, haggard, and utterly empty of the love he once had for her. All that remains is a cold, devastating clarity. He looks directly at her. He does not shout. He does not accuse. He states a fact. "You hit my daughter," he says, his voice flat, "and you stole from my company." The two sins, one of body and one of business, are laid side by side. There is no defense. There is no explanation. They are absolute. "That's absurd," she sputters, her eyes wide with frantic denial. "Conrad, she's lying. She's been trying to turn you against me for years. The money? It's a consulting fee, a discretionary fund Harlan set up. It's all perfectly legal. The account for Oak Lantern Media is 75443B at Eldermere National," I say, cutting through her frantic lies. My voice is as calm and steady as a newsreader's. The last 3 transfers from Archwell were for $150,000, $125,000, and $90,000, authorized by Harlan Creve against a non-existent project contract. The funds were then routed through a secondary shell, Noel and Company, and used to make direct payments against your American Express account, which currently has a balance of 0. I am not arguing with her. I am reading her indictment. Her face crumples. The data is too specific, too precise. The numbers are undeniable. She is cornered, and like any cornered animal, she makes one last, desperate lunge. She fumbles for her phone in her purse, her hands shaking so badly she almost drops it. "I'm calling Harlan. He'll explain this. He'll explain all of this bureaucratic nonsense." "Please do," my father says, his voice dangerously quiet. She finds his contact, her thumb stabbing at the screen. She hits the call button and immediately presses the speakerphone icon, a desperate attempt to bring her co-conspirator into the room to validate her story. The phone rings once, twice. "Elle?" Harlan Creve's voice fills the room. He sounds sleepy, annoyed. "What now?" "I'm trying to sleep." "Harlan!" Lenora's voice is a high-pitched, panicked squeak. "Harlan, tell Conrad about the Oak Lantern project. Tell him it's a legitimate PR discretionary fund. He's listening." There is a long pause on the other end of the line, the sound of a man waking up and realizing he has stepped on a landmine. "Elle, what are you talking about?" he says, his voice thick with confusion. Then, a dawning horror enters his tone as he processes her words. Just hang up the phone. Whatever is going on, we'll figure it out in the morning." The word hangs in the air, a confession in a single syllable. My father closes his eyes. A look of profound, soul-deep weariness settles over him. He doesn't look at Lenora. He looks at her phone, still clutched in her hand. "Thank you, Mr. Creve," he says, his voice calm and clear. "That admission is now on the record." He hangs up for her, reaching out and pressing the red icon on her screen. The silence that follows is the silence of a tomb. Lenora stares at her phone, then at my father, then at me. Her mouth opens, but no sound comes out. The last lie has been told. The last ally has betrayed her. There is nothing left. Her strength evaporates. Her body, which moments before was coiled with defiant rage, goes completely slack. Her knees buckle. She doesn't fall. She sinks. She collapses backward, landing heavily on her side of the bed in a heap of designer clothes and shattered illusions. Her hand, flung out to catch herself, lands directly on the pile of papers on my father's side. The crisp Archwell letterhead crackles under her palm. She is now touching the physical proof of her own damnation. She is surrounded by her own words, her own greed, her own violence, printed in black and white, and there is nowhere left to run. The doorbell chimes, a soft, melodic sound that is an obscenity in the wreckage of the room. It is 12:07 a.m. Lenora flinches on the bed as if struck. My father doesn't move. He knows who it is. I am the one who answers the door. Nora Bell is standing on the porch, her face grim and professional. Beside her is Marcus Thorne, the chairman of the board, his expression a mask of grave concern. They are not here for a social call. They are here to witness the transfer of power. They step inside, their eyes taking in the scene. Me, calm and waiting, my father, a ghost by the window, and Lenora, a crumpled heap on the bed. They do not look at her for more than a second. She is no longer a person. She is the liability. The library, I say, and I lead them there. The room is cold. The French doors still slightly ajar. I don't close them. I sit at my father's desk and power on the large monitor. Nora and Marcus stand behind me. Their presence a silent, immense pressure. Lenora and my father do not follow. They remain in the bedroom, prisoners in separate cells of the same quiet hell. As I stated on the call, I begin, my voice the dispassionate tone of a technician giving a briefing. Every piece of digital evidence has been secured and its integrity verified. I open the portal to my NAS. The screen displays a clean, minimalist file structure. I navigate to the secure vault. I click on the audio file from the alley. I then click on its corresponding text file. File. Key fob mic 004.AAC HA256. Hash E3B0C44298FC1C149 AFB F4C89996FB92 427 AE41 E4649 B934S4591 B7852 B855. The hash for each file was generated at the nanosecond of its creation. I explain. They are immutable. This is the digital fingerprint of the audio you received. Any attempt to alter the file would result in a completely different hash. It is mathematically pure. I do the same for the screenshots, one by one, the iMessages, the accounting portal, the Amex statement. For each, I show the image and its corresponding, unalterable hash. The network logs, I continue, pulling up another window showing raw data from the router's system log. You can see the DHCP lease for Lenora's iPhone and MacBook, connecting to the guest Wi-Fi at Graybridge. You can see the DNS queries and data packets sent to Apple's push notification servers, time-stamped throughout the dinner. Her devices were active, and they were communicating with Harlan Creeve's device. Finally, I show them the print server log. 22-1904. EST. Job 001 received. Source. NAS Maraquin. Target. HP LaserJet M608. 7 pages, 22-19-12. EST. Job 001. Complete. The evidence your CEO is holding was printed at 10:19 p.m. It is a perfect, time-stamped physical copy of the digitally verified evidence you are seeing now. The chain of custody is a closed, unbreakable loop. Marcus Thorne places a hand on the back of the leather chair. It's undeniable, he says. His voice is heavy. It's a clean kill. Nora Bell nods, her face grim. I'll get the papers. She retrieves a leather folio from her briefcase. She walks out of the library and up the stairs. Marcus and I remain. The hum of the computer, the only sound. A few minutes later, Nora returns. My father is with her. He walks like an old man. His steps heavy. He doesn't look at me. He looks at the papers in Nora's hand. Nora lays them on the polished surface of the desk. There are 2 documents. The first is the formal resolution, signed by Marcus, temporarily suspending Harlan Creeve, pending investigation. The second is a sworn affidavit. Conrad, Nora says, her voice gentle but firm. This is your formal statement. It details the events of this evening, specifically the assault. We need it to proceed with both the corporate and criminal complaints. My father picks up a heavy, gold-plated fountain pen from the desk holder. His hand is shaking slightly. He signs the suspension order for Harlan first, his signature a spiky, angry slash of ink. Then he signs his own name at the bottom of the affidavit, attesting to the violence committed against his daughter. He is no longer just a father. He is the complaining witness. As he puts the pen down, Nora is already on her phone. Yes, this is Nora Bell, counsel for Archwell Dynamics. I need to report a crime. Yes, An assault and significant financial malfeasance involving a corporate officer. The address is 415 Crestview Drive. We will have the evidence ready. Thank you. She hangs up. A patrol car will be here in 15 minutes. She looks at me. Mara, the files. I have the USB drive ready. It's a small, black, featureless stick. I hand it to her. Encrypted. The password is the same as the dossier. It contains the audio file, the screenshots, the hotel's litigation hold confirmation, and the call recording with Mr. Creve, everything they need for a warrant. While we wait, I execute the final steps. I open the corporate banking portal and issue a stop payment order on all outstanding and future invoices for Oak Lantern Media. Citing a fraud investigation. The digital command is sent. The money is frozen. Out of curiosity, I open the IT administration panel. I look up Harlan Creve's user ID. There, in the logs, is a flurry of activity. 232914, EST, user. H. Creve, login attempt, failed. Ake suspended, 232945. EST, user H. Creve, network access attempt, denied. 2330. EST, user H. Creve, file deletion attempt, archive marketing. Failed, permissions revoked. He woke up, realized the trap, and tried to erase his tracks, but he was already a ghost. His access had been revoked at 11:29 p.m. A full hour earlier, he was shouting into a void. The final step, I open my secure email client. I attach the formal, board-approved notice of the trigger activation. The recipient is a secure, monitored inbox at the firm that acts as the bond trustee. I hit send. The notification is logged. The process is complete. We have acted decisively. We have protected the bondholders. We have cleaned our own house. The doorbell chimes again. This time, it is not the board. 2 uniformed police officers stand on the porch, their expressions neutral, their presence an overwhelming intrusion of stark, official reality. Nora meets them. I do not. My part in that is over. I hand over the data. They handle the law. I stay in the library, and I begin to shut down my operation. I disconnect the secure tunnel to my NAS. I close the terminal window. I turn off the monitor. I walk to the living room and issue a quiet command. Alexa, end drop in. The open microphone is closed. I retrieve my phone from the bedroom nightstand. The recording app is off. I close the French doors in the library. The cool night air sealed out. The house is once again a silent, climate-controlled box. When I return to the foyer, the police are gone. Nora is speaking quietly to my father. Marcus Thorne stands by the door, his coat on, ready to leave. He nods at me, a gesture of grim solidarity. Nora turns from my father and walks to the base of the stairs. She looks up toward the master bedroom, where Lenora has remained, a silent prisoner. "Lenora," Nora calls out, her voice clear and formal, carrying up the staircase. "Mr. Quinn has requested that you vacate the premises. Your personal belongings will be packed and sent to a location of your choosing. A car is waiting outside to take you wherever you would like to go. You are not to return to this property. Is that understood?" There is no answer, just a profound, echoing silence. Nora waits a moment, then turns to my father. "She'll leave." They see themselves out. I am left alone with my father in the vast, silent house. He walks slowly back up the stairs. I follow him. He stops at the door to the master bedroom. Lenora is gone. A single suitcase is open on the chaise lounge, a few items thrown inside. The room is still a wreck of paper and discarded hope. He looks at her side of the bed, at the pillow, which is now bare, at the empty space where her head would have been. The light from the bedside lamp pools on the pristine, white, empty cotton. It is cold. It is clean. It is over. The house is a vacuum. The departure of the police, of Nora and Marcus, has sucked all the sound and motion out of it, leaving behind a stillness so profound it feels like a pressure against the eardrums. We are alone. my father and I, in the quiet ruin of his life. He hasn't moved from his position on the edge of the bed. He sits like a man carved from stone, his big shoulders slumped, his hands resting on his knees. His gaze is fixed on the empty space beside him, the indentation in the mattress where Lenora collapsed, a ghost's impression that is already fading. The papers, the physical evidence of her betrayal, are still scattered across the white duvet, a field of shrapnel from an explosion only we heard. His hand rests beside the gaping manila envelope, his fingers lightly touching the corner, as if to confirm that it is real, that this has all truly happened. The air in the room is cold. The lingering scent of her perfume is finally dissipating, chased away by the clean, sharp scent of the night air I let in through the library doors. The room is being scrubbed clean of her, molecule by molecule. He doesn't look at me, but I know he is aware of my presence. I am the architect of this silence. I am the author of this devastation. He is adrift in the wreckage, and I am the one who lit the fuse. Finally, he speaks. His voice is a ghost, a dry whisper of sound in the vast, silent room. "You did what I should have done," he says to the empty space in front of him. "Years ago." The admission is a shard of glass. It is not an absolution for me, but a condemnation of himself. He is acknowledging his own blindness, his own weakness. He is admitting that he chose the comfortable lie over the difficult truth, and this is the price. I stand by the door, unwilling to step further into the circle of his grief. It is his to bear alone. "I didn't do it for you," I say, and the words are colder than I intend, but they are the truth. I did it for the company, for what it's supposed to stand for, and for myself. The last part goes unsaid. It doesn't need to be. "It's the same thing," he murmurs, finally looking down at his hands. "It was always the same thing." "I just put the truth where you couldn't ignore it," I reply, my voice softening slightly. It is the closest I can come to offering comfort. It is an explanation, not an apology. I placed it on his pillow, the one place in the world he could not avoid, the place where lies and dreams are meant to be the safest. He nods, a slow, tired movement. He understands. The corporate machinery I set in motion is already grinding forward, unstoppable. The automated email sits on a server, a digital time bomb, its countdown timer ticking relentlessly toward the dawn. At 7:03 a.m., precisely 3 minutes before the pre-market buzz begins, that email will detonate in the inboxes of the board. The notification to the bond trustee is already logged. The suspension of Harlan Creve is already in effect. The cogs of consequence are turning, and they will crush everything in their path. The personal devastation in this room is just the epicenter. The shockwave is still spreading. I walk slowly toward the bed, not to his side, but to the foot of it. I look down at the scattered pages. My eyes find the last one I printed, the one I placed under her pillow as a final, brutal welcome home. I reach down and pick it up. The heavy Archwell letterhead feels cool and official in my hand. The black letters are stark, clinical. "Handle the girl tonight. Make her quiet. She's a problem." I fold the paper, once, twice, creasing it with a sharp, deliberate motion until it is a small, hard rectangle. The thread is contained. The poison is neutralized. It is just paper now. My father watches my hands. He sees the folded paper. Then, in a movement so slow it seems to take an eternity, he raises his left hand. He looks at the simple, heavy gold band on his fourth finger, the ring my mother gave him, the ring Lenora made a point of never asking him to remove. A clever act of psychological maneuvering, making her seem secure when she was anything but. With his other hand, he grips the ring. He twists it. For a moment it resists, caught on the knuckle, a final, futile protest after 35 years. He forces it, his skin stretching, turning white. It comes free. He holds the ring in his palm for a single, silent beat. It is a perfect, unbroken circle of gold, gleaming in the lamplight, a symbol of a promise made and a promise broken. He doesn't drop it. He doesn't throw it. He leans forward and places it, with a quiet metallic click, directly on top of the folded piece of paper I am holding out. Gold on white, a vow laid to rest on a death warrant. He says nothing. There is nothing left to say. The gesture is a complete and final sentence. I close my hand around the paper and the ring. The metal is still warm from his skin. I turn and walk out of the room, leaving him there, a king alone in his castle, surveying the ruins of his reign. I walk down the silent, carpeted hallway. As I pass the open door of the library, I pause. I look into the darkness of the room. At the corner where the printer sits, the small green power light is a single, steady eye in the gloom. It is inert. Its work done. It is just a machine, a collection of plastic and silicon and steel. But tonight, it was my accomplice. It was my weapon. It was the press that published the truth. I nod once, a silent gesture of gratitude, and walk on. I reach the top of the stairs. I look back. My father has not moved. He is a silhouette against the lamplight, a man hollowed out by a truth he refused to see until it was laid upon his pillow. I turn my back on him and descend the stairs. I reach the foyer and I stop. I pull out my phone. I open a new message. The recipient set to my own number. It is a final log entry for myself. A closing of my own internal ledger. My thumbs type a single, short sentence. Revenge is done. The truth is printed. I hit send. The message disappears, sent into the ether to find its way back to me. A confirmation that the long night is finally over. I walk to the great front door, pull it open, and step out into the cool, clean, pre-dawn air. The door swings shut behind me, the lock clicking into place, a sound of absolute finality. It separates the silent, grieving man inside from the rest of the world. It separates his past from my future. Black screen, the end. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'd love to know where in the world you're tuning in from. So please drop a comment below and let's connect and share our thoughts. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to the channel, giving this video a like, and showing some extra love by hitting that hype button. It really helps this story get heard by more people.